Welcome back, my friends. This video will look at the Find the Marble project, which is part of our Scratch programming course in the intermediate level. We'll see a common problem that students run into, which is that of uh, cups not shuffling as neatly as you would like them to. We'll see why this happens, and we will also see how we can fix these. So let's just briefly recall what the project is all about. Basically, is this game where so when I click the flag, I get these these three cups. Marble goes under the cup, and then these three cups start to shuffle around. Now, the problem I'm referring to is that you see that in your project, you think you've done everything right, but for some reason, these cups just do not shuffle the way you think the way they should be shuffling. You'll find that sometimes one cup just disappears, or sometimes they go in some very incorrect kind of trajectory. So let's see why this happens and how we fix that. Before that, however, I want to take you back to the basics, which is that this game, like I keep saying, requires a very systematic development. There's a lot of logic in this, a lot of things going on, so we have to be extremely systematic. So the entire philosophy, let's say the entire the code is built on these three moves, which is we have these three marbles, sorry, three cups. The moves that they make is switch left and right, switch medium and right, switch left and medium. What happens basically is that when I get, there are three broadcasts in the code, as you know. When I get this broadcast, the cup on the left goes to right, cup on the right goes to left, and they take this kind of like a triangular trajectory so that it looks a little bit nice. And likewise for the medium and right and left and medium. Now recall that when we build this game, for example, we do this game with just one cup and one marble, which is in fact the right thing to do, because if we do it at this level, we'll be able to fix the problems. Now I want to show you something very interesting. I've intentionally made some mistakes on this code. Yeah. So notice here, if I were to let's say look at this program right now, if I, let's say, just duplicate it, so I've got one cup, I've got this switch left and right, switch medium and right, and also switch right, left and medium. I think I'm done. In fact, there are some small mistakes lurking around here. We'll come back to those a little later, but I just want to show you what happens if I were to just say duplicate these cups without fixing the problems right now. So if I did that, I get a cup, I duplicate, I get cup 2. Now remember, cup 2 must go to the middle of the screen, which means all I do is really just say this, change this to say 0, 120, and also this to 0, 120. Remember, left cup was on minus 120, middle is on 0. And then finally, I go and duplicate this once again, and I go and set this to the right side of the screen. So which means that I make it say 120 here as well as say 120 here. But like I told you, there was a problem with the code to start with. I intentionally created that problem, though it looks, at first look, it all looks nice. But if I were to run this, this movement, you'll notice that something strange is going to happen. Notice how the cups just from three, they sort of just coalesce into one, and there's only one cup now that's doing all the movement. In fact, it's not even very neat. We can see it once again. I got three cups to start with because that's how it is. But some reason, this time two cups for a long time, and then I'm just left with one cup. So there could be other movements, other errors of this sort that may be happening. It doesn't look as exactly the same as what I am seeing, but you get the idea that this is what I mean by improper shuffling, right? Cups not shuffling properly. Now the question is, how do you fix this, right? And as they say, prevention is better than cure. Fixing this with the three cups in place, or if you have different sprites, or if you have more sprites, it's even harder. Fixing this with three cups in place is very, very difficult, right? So I do not recommend that to be done. What I would instead do is that nip the problem in the bud, right? Which means that let us first remove this two cups. So remove this cup. Oh, sorry, I ended up duplicating. Sorry for that. I will go and remove this cup 3 and also cup 2, which means I'm just left with one cup. I am going to fix this problem right here, because remember, when we are duplicating, in fact, all the code is going through, which means that all these broadcasts are, with their errors, are being percolated to the other sprites, right? So if I fix it here, I'll just find it so much more cleaner little later, right? So let's look at these broadcasts. Now I just want to make sure that switch left and right, for example, switches between left and right and vice versa, and it goes through, let's say, a path which is, say, like this. Now how do I make this happen? So I'll just start the game and stop it. So my cup is on the, so I'll just do this again and just stop this here. Notice my cup is now sitting on the left side. Now to debug the movement of the cups, I will not start the program again. Instead, what I'll do is a very interesting trick, a very interesting, let's say, debugging methodology. I am going to just click on, notice I'm not clicking the flag. I'm just going to click on this when I receive, right? So it turns out that when I do this, it's as though this broadcast has been generated and this action happens, right? So notice if I do this, I see that my cup moves from left to right, everything fine, and that's because I said if x is minus 120, then go to 0, 60, which is 0 here, 60 here. So it kind of took this trajectory and then down to 120, 0. However, let's see what happens when I click this once again. Notice I see that instead of going back to the left side, my cup ended up going from right to, in fact, middle. And why did that happen? Because, like I said, I've intentionally made a mistake here. Notice what's going on. If x position is 120, which means the situation here, I went to 0 minus 60, and then I went to 0 minus 60 was in fact this point, and then I went to 0, 0. Now, this mistake looks very, kind of like we can see this very clearly. We just saw that it happened. We can actually see this once again. I'll bring my cup to the left side. Now, if I notice I'm not clicking the flag anymore, if I go and click on this is fine, but the reverse part is not true. I can fix this quite easily. Remember, it has to go from 120 to 0 minus 60. That's all right. But instead of the 0, 0, left and right switch means right must come to left. I am going to have to take this to minus 120. Now with this done, I can check if this is all okay. So let me just bring this cup to the left side first. If I do this, now notice my cup is here, my left to right and my right to left moves perfectly. That means this broadcast is perfectly fine. Let's do the same test on the other two broadcasts. So the next one is, let's say, we'll do left and medium first because my cup is sitting on the left side. So I go and say left and medium. Now, if I do this, notice something went wrong once again because when I click this left to medium, it came to medium all right, but basically it did not, it basically did not do a nice movement, right? It went from here to here and then came back, whereas I wanted it to go from here to here and then come back. So let's just look at this carefully. I say if x position is minus 120, then go to 60, 60 and then come back to 0, 0. So that's where the mistake is, because I do not want it to go to 60, 60. In fact, I wanted to go to minus 60 and 60. Reason being, I wanted to go sort of halfway here on top and then come back. And I think the other one was just fine, right? So if I did this now, notice this is fine. Now, having done this, I can also test my, so this we just tested LNM. Let me do it once again. I'll bring my ball to the cup to the medium. I'm going to also test my medium and right. If I click on this, yes, it goes to right. If I click on this, it comes back to medium. So this particular thing is perfectly fine. In fact, the other place where students make mistake is this if condition. The way to avoid that is just read the broadcast carefully. What are we trying to do? When we are doing switch left and right, we are trying to figure out, for example, left and right, we are trying to figure out if the cup is on the left position, else if the cup is on the right position. So this two if conditions should have the coordinate corresponding to left and right. In case of left, medium and right, should be medium and right. And finally, in case of left and medium, should be left and medium. Now with this done, in fact, my code is in good shape. Now I can go ahead and duplicate. Now once I duplicate, all I really need to do is, remember, for cup 2 I want it to come in the center, so I'll go and make the change. I'll set that here. Once again, I'll duplicate this one more time and I will make the third change. I mean, for the cup, I'll just send it to the right side. And in fact, that's really all I need to do. And you will see that suddenly when I run this thing, this cups will work perfectly fine, right? Notice they are shuffling nicely. There's no problem with this code anymore because we managed to kind of solve the problem at its root before we multiplied it. Yeah. So this is another lesson here, that be systematic, solve the problem when it's small, right? So reduce the code that you don't want, that's giving problem, reduce everything, get it down to place where you can easily solve it, and then you can expand the code. It's always easier that way. I hope this video was useful. Take care. Thank you so much. Enjoy programming and cheers. Bye. Thanks.